YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my updated NFL power rankings just before week 4. And I'm updating these every single week. We also have predictions every single week. We predict every game every week, along with recaps, players of the week, and plenty more here at the Goat House. So hopefully you can join us for that. We do have extra content available. If you're part of our Patreon, you get several updated mock drafts and several updated playoff and Super Bowl picks. Did the playoff and Super Bowl picks yesterday, actually, post week 3. So if you're part of the Patreon, you can go over there and check it out. There'll be bonus videos as well. You can join our private Discord. A lot going on at the Patreon, patreon.com/thegoathouse. Link in the description. And our subscriber goal is at 40K, so please help us out by subscribing. We've been growing a whole bunch thanks to you guys out there. But if you don't subscribe, please help us out. We got you covered with full NFL content, but the pre-week 4 power rankings. And it shows, before we reveal the teams here, it shows some movement. Some of those are hidden. If team went up or down, I've hidden a couple of those. So we'll see who I'm talking about there. But at the bottom, there's really no change. The Miami Dolphins are still number 32. And I think that's kind of where they want to be. You know, that's where they want to be for, the future. There's no secret. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a team tank, but that's the route they're heading right now. I don't know if they'll win one game, honestly. And at 31, I put the Jets down there, moving down 2 spots. Unfortunate injuries or illnesses, obviously, that affected that. So, if they were healthy and, full go, I wouldn't expect them down here. But because of that situation, this is where they're at this given time. And then staying in the same spots, the Bengals, they did put up a fight against a good Bills defense. It had a chance at the end. Dalton's just got to take better care of the football there, but they find themselves in the same exact spot. And they're moving down a good 5 spots here, or I should say a bad 5 spots after that display last night as the Washington Redskins. It's rough. It's rough. I think their pass rush is solid. They got a good D-line, a solid pass rush. That's really all they have going for them, really. Keenum was actually looking solid until this game was just absolutely terrible. And the main thing, people say, he throws the picks, he fumbles the ball. Yeah, that's bad. But the main thing I noticed is that there is very little to none. I'd say there was none adjustments at the line. Gruden calls into play. They break the huddle. That's the play. It's a lot different than what we've seen him in Minnesota a couple years ago. So it has not been good. And it's a rough season. Even got Landon Collins. He's playing pretty bad too on that big contract they gave him. So it's a rough go for the Redskins. When will it be time for Dwayne Haskins? I could argue both ways. Keenum's making rookie mistakes, so why not get Haskins in there to develop? Or you can say, well, do you really want the guy to get killed with this offensive line? No Trent Williams. Do you want him to, do you want to set him up to fail because it's already a failing situation? Is he ready to make adjustments at the line? All those, you can argue both ways. Some people are, pissed that he's not in there, but I can understand it. But at this point, before it gets too out of hand, maybe I'd throw him in here this week against the Giants, something to prove here. I guess I'd do it, but I understand, either way. The Cardinals moved down 1 spot. They don't have as many losses as some of these other teams because of a tie. But that Panthers game, it's a game you got to win, really. Kyle Allen in at quarterback. The Panthers haven't looked too solid all around before that. It's early, but it's a game you should win, honestly. And they can't get it done and really not even close. So they definitely deserve to move down at least a little bit, even though they have 2 losses with the tie. And then moving down 5 spots is the Pittsburgh Steelers, unfortunately 0-3. If the injury of Roethlisberger occurred, maybe they could have won. I think they would have won last week, honestly, so maybe that way they wouldn't be this low, but the way things are playing out, this is where they belong down here. But I do think they're better than the other 0-3 teams, maybe even with Mason Rudolph, who I think could start to play a little better ball here. And then sitting at 26, I feel like for a while now, is the Broncos. They're just still here, and they're 0-3 like the rest of these teams, but I just think they're better. You could go back. You can look at these last 2 weeks, mainly 2 weeks ago. They could have won that Bears game. It's their own fault. But and same thing at the Packers game. They looked solid early on, and just the turnovers kind of just screwed them. They screwed themselves with. So I mean, they're better in these teams down here, and it's even though it's a disaster, they kind of showed that. So I can't really move them down, mainly because The other teams really. Then moving down 2 spots is the Raiders. Bad game against the Vikings. It was the Vikings, but not a good display. I'm still waiting to see, where's that week 1 performance. I know week 1, a lot of time, every year in the NFL, there's week 1 performances that we do not see again. It happens to several teams every single year. Could the Raiders be one of those teams? But I do have some hope for their offense. It was tough to go into Minnesota and play that defense, I guess, but it looked kind of ugly. Moving down 3 spots, coming in at number 24 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game they should win. Daniel Jones' first game playing, and then coming off a good defensive performance against the Panthers. It was a pretty bad one here against the Giants, and I guess they were extra points and a missed field goal away from winning this game. But they're not gonna, they shouldn't win a game. Giving up that many points to a rookie quarterback in his first start, and Saquon Barkley didn't even play on top of it. So they moved down 3 spots. I just want to see, them play like they did against the Panthers again. And moving up 8 spots, team we just talked about, the Giants. So they were at 31, moving all the way up to 23. For only 1 win might be, a lot, but they definitely deserve to move ahead of the teams that they're ahead of right now, because they're fresh off the win. It's somewhat of a new look Giants. I know Saquon's hurt, so that affects them. They'll move down in the future. This is a weekly updated power rankings, so they're at 23 for now. We'll see what Daniel Jones can do. Redskins Giants should be an interesting one. Moving down 2 spots is the Browns. I couldn't hurt them completely. I know they're fresh off a loss, and a team like the Giants are fresh off a win, but I still feel the Browns are the better team, and they played the Rams pretty well, given their defense was beat up, for the most part there in the secondary. They played a pretty good game, and they kept it close with a 3-0 Rams team, so I can't hurt them all that much. Moving up 7 spots, and last week they were right around the spot and moved way down, and now they're moving back up here. It's the Panthers. Pretty darn good game. It was against the Cardinals, but pretty darn good game. Good game for Kyle Allen. Some defensive guys stepped up. So I guess impressive. And you could argue that they would at very worst be 2-1 if Kyle Allen has started. They kept it close with the Rams even in week 1, and Cam missed some big time throws. It's weird saying that Kyle Allen, an undrafted guy, and a backup, they're better off with than the Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton's super talented. It's just the injuries, and I was kind of scared of that in the offseason. So how long will Kyle Allen play? I guess he gives them hope, and again, that's weird. It's weird to think about. So they're at 21, moving up 7 spots after a good win. And then number 20, moving down 2 spots, is the Titans. Pretty much a disaster against Jacksonville. I don't hurt them too much, though, because I still really like this defense. I think this run defense is elite. And overall, the defense is very good. And I think the offense could click at some point. I think it could get going, nothing crazy. So I think they can turn it around. I like this team, as, nothing's not like a contender or anything, but they should be better than 20th overall in terms of what talent they have, but they do move down a couple spots after that loss. Coming in at 19, moving down 4 spots is the Falcons. Pretty bad one against the Colts. I did pick the Colts, but I thought that would be close, and I saw Darius Leonard was out. I'm like, all right, the Falcons got a legit shot here. And then you got Malik Hooker getting hurt in that game too. And I know they came back, but the game wasn't as close as the score would actually show. It was way further off than that. The Colts really dominated that game. It was a poor performance from the Falcons. Matt Ryan struggling. I predicted before the years to start that offensive line, and I got a lot of shit for that. And the offensive line is looking rough, and I know there's injuries, but it's still looking rough right now. And I guess that could be a reason why Matt Ryan's struggling. But they moved down 4 spots. They really haven't impressed me this year. They got dominated by the Colts. They got dominated by the Vikings. And I thought the Eagles-Falcons game was, I didn't really take away any good things from that game, besides maybe a couple players. It's just who can play worse. But I do have the Eagles at 18. You could argue they beat the Falcons. How are they 1 spot ahead? Well, I'm not comparing one team versus one team here. This is 32 teams compared to each other and what they're doing. Looking at what the Falcons did, like I said, they didn't impress me, whatsoever. The Eagles haven't really impressed me too much, but they have glimpses of it. And I still think the Eagles are the better team than the Falcons. You see the head-to-head games all the time, and it doesn't always tell you who the actual better team is. But that really doesn't go into this. So I'm comparing 32 teams together. I still have some more. I have more hope for the Eagles and the Falcons. The Eagles stuck in that game at the Lions, and the Lions are better than people think. I picked the Lions to win that game. People let me have it for that, but they weren't really thinking about how good the Lions actually are. They're a pretty solid team. And then number 17, moving up a whopping 8 spots, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, they got their first win. They looked pretty darn good on both sides of the ball. They played the Texans close. They definitely had an opportunity in that game, and their other losses to, either the first or second best team in football and the Chiefs. So with all these other teams, deserving to go down for the most part, you see a lot of red underneath. There's no reason why the Jaguars shouldn't move ahead of those teams at this moment. Do I think in the long run and long term, are they better than teams like the Eagles and the Falcons? Probably not. They might not even be better than the Titans in the long run, who they just beat. So, but right now, I think they're deserving of going up here, and it's still, a team we're still trying to figure out. When Minshew, is he legit? But he looks pretty solid right now. And defensive players kind of being out, and they're still looking impressive. Moving down 5 spots is the Chargers at number 16. 1 and 2 have not been impressive. The defense has been super disappointing. The pass protection is one of the worst in football right now. Run blocking is good, but pass protection is really bad right now. That's an issue. They got, kind of a gift in the scheduling at this point. The timing is great. They have the Dolphins this week. It is great because they need something to kind of change the momentum and turn it around. But they've been disappointing. A team that drops down big 8 spots here, I guess the team that drops the most on anybody is going to be the Seattle Seahawks at 15. I still have high hopes for the Seahawks, in the long run. I think guys on their team will continue to get better. Clowney's still fitting in. I think in a lot of young players too. I think they'll continue to get better. It's just I had to drop them down a lot this week because it's a game they should win. It wasn't any, the score said it was close. It wasn't anywhere near close. And they're looking at their first 2 weeks. They kind of pulled the same stuff. They played the Bengals and they played the Steelers, and they made things interesting and didn't play as good as they possibly can at the same time. So kind of the body of work going all together, comparing them to the other teams with 1 loss. This is where they belong right now. I do think they'll figure it out in the long run and get it together. So I do like them, down the season. But right now, this is where I got to put them. Number 14, moving up 5 spots, is the undefeated Buffalo Bills. Still want to see more, but they are undefeated. They're on a 3-winning streak. Very hard to do no matter who you play. So they move up 5 spots. Good amount here. Love the defense. That's something that's not really up for debate. The defense is good. I'm not worried about the defense. The offense, I want to see a little more. I wish they could have put up a little more points. Josh Allen, he's playing solid, but I think he's holding on to the ball a little too long. True test against the Patriots this week. If they can beat the Patriots, oh boy, we're talking about way up there. It depends. It's not all about them. It's all about what the other teams do too in the power rankings, but they really can soar as they kind of did here, moving up 5 spots. I want to see a little more, even though they're on a 3-game winning streak, the execution hasn't been 100% there on the offense side of the ball. So I do want to see more. Texans moving up 4 spots. They're at 13. Lost in week 1, which that they could have won that game if you think about it. The Jags game was a little closer than I wanted. I wish the execution wasn't all the way there for me last week, so I wasn't thrilled about moving them up a bunch. And then, but then this week, a dominant win over the Chargers, a comeback from down 17-7. I just wish they stay more consistent, but still, that win and being 2-1 and very close to being 3-0, they're deserving to move up 4 spots to be at number 13. Moving up 1 spot is the Bears. Still want to see a little more from the Bears. That Broncos game, you could say they're lucky to come out of that one with the win. They did get the win. And against the Redskins, their defense really clutched up, stepped up for them. I just want to see, full team execution, and they definitely have the chance to prove that against their NFC North rival this week. But they move up a spot, and that's kind of the momentum game, possibly that Redskins game, so that could be big for them. Moving up 3 spots is an impressive Indianapolis Colts team, very well coached. I can't say enough about Frank Reich and the staff. And then Jacoby Brissett, too, is, super impressive. I liked him in the pre-draft process, and I said, with time he can continue to get better. They need to give him more chances. People were talking about them getting another quarterback after this year. No, you keep going, and he's already showing it that he can be that guy. He's playing it. He's progressing at a higher rate than even I thought. Super impressive team on both sides. They do have some injuries, so that maybe could be a reason why if they do – maybe don't play as good on the defense side of the ball. Malik Hooker being out, but Darius Leonard being in. But so far, they're playing great on the defensive side of the ball. I just I hope they can keep it all together. Moving up 3 spots there. Number 10 is going to be the Vikings, a big win over the Raiders at home. And the Vikings got to be one of the better teams at home. But they need to prove me something away for them to be inside, or they are number 10, but inside of the top 10. And they have that test against the Bears in Chicago this week. I know the Vikings can win at home. We ended up beat the Raiders too. We know that can happen. So moving up 2 spots though. Staying at number 9, and this is where it gets tough, is the Niners. They are on a 3-game winning streak. I mean, they haven't played the greatest competition, but they did execute somewhere in there, along the way, except for this week. It was a sloppy game. Given the teams ahead of them, I couldn't move any of these teams below them, in my opinion. So that's mainly why they stuck at 9, but, kind of going into them is a little bit of the sloppy play. If they absolutely dominated that game, maybe I could have moved them up a spot, but the teams ahead of them is really what's keeping them still at number 9. And at number 8, moving down 2 spots, is the Ravens. I still think it's a really good football team, both sides of the ball. They played one of the best teams in football, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And, maybe the score showed it to be a little closer than it actually was, but they fought back a little bit. I like this team still, and they've proven to be a top 8 team. They're right here at 8, coming off a loss. So the highest team that just lost up to this point. And number 7 is a very impressive Detroit Lions team. Really could be 3-0. And the way they executed, really, it almost feels like they're 3-0, honestly. But they're not. But they don't have a loss. But beating the Chargers and beating the Eagles the way they did, super impressive. I like them on both sides of the ball. Let's see if they can stay consistent. It's still on Stafford. Let's see if they can stay up here going forward. They're up 3 spots at number 7. Super impressive. Moving up 2 spots is the New Orleans Saints beating the Seahawks. With Teddy Bridgewater, no Drew Brees. Teddy can play. He was kind of played that role of a game manager in this game, which he needed to do, and he did. Well-coached game. Kamara played a good game. Special teams and defense played a good game. They're up 2 spots. Can they continue to do that? Can they continue to clutch up? And then no movement here at 5. Cowboys stay there. They haven't really played, the best teams yet, but they've executed in every single one of them, and that's what I like on both sides of the ball. That plays a part too. Body of work. And how good the teams are playing. Are they executing, as a football team? That's I guess that's my system. Maybe some other people don't do that, but I really look for that. And they are, even though they haven't played the best teams. And if they played better teams and executed the way they did, they'd probably be higher than 5. But I still have them up at 5 for the way they've been executing. At number 4 is the Green Bay Packers. Defense has been super impressive. They're getting their hands on the ball. They're getting the turnovers. I want to see a little more from the offense. So we'll get to learn a little more about LaFleur's offense season goes on, but they're hot. They have 2 NFC North wins. They just beat the Broncos as they should. They remain at number 4. Remaining at number 3 is the LA Rams. Not the most impressive win against the Browns, but I don't see any way to drop them, because their offense has been looking good and their defense has been, okay. And in this game, it's kind of the defense that steps up big time. So it's kind of both sides of the ball. Really, there's really no reason to drop them here. Maybe if the Packers or the Cowboys beat somebody, a little better than they beat, then maybe I would have moved them ahead of it. But, it's very tight between there. I just didn't see any reason to drop the Rams. And then to reveal the top 2, I actually made a change here. And I moved the Chiefs up 1. I moved the Patriots down 1. It's not at all. It's weird seeing that red, down next to the Patriots, because it's not at all what they did. It's just the Chiefs are deserving. That those 2 teams, like I've been saying, have been so tight. It's basically been a tie at the top. Before week 1, I had the Chiefs at the top, switched it because the Patriots dominated the Steelers, and it's just kind of the body of work kind of going back into that. The Chiefs beat the Ravens, a very good football team, and that was really it. That's what put the Chiefs at the top. Very deserving team, very impressive. They have the best player in football, and these 2 teams are just clearly, once again, the gap between, like I said, 3, 4, 5, very close. Rams, Packers, Cowboys right now. But just think about the gap between the top 2 and those teams, even though one's at, the Patriots are at 2, the Rams are at 3. Huge gap. Ginormous gap. And 2 of them are AFC teams at the top, and the rest of the 3 are NFC. So that's interesting. But I definitely think there's other teams that can climb up here. Looking at who they play, some tough games. So teams can move down, up, obviously. I think there's teams. Really, it's still early. We've seen, who was it? The Texans started 0-3 last year, and they went on a huge streak. Who's going to be that team this year? So the Panthers start the first half of the season like a Super Bowl contender, went downhill. Who's going to be that team this year? Every year there's teams like that. So there's teams in that third column, that 17 through 24, that I think can make their way up there. Looking at pretty much all of them in that row, except for, 17 through 22, those teams can definitely climb at any given point. So that's why I really enjoy these power rankings. We're going to see how they, shape up throughout the season, and big wins and streaks and execution on both sides of the ball will make you climb very fast in my system, my rankings here. We'll be back every single week with these rankings. Later tonight, we will have our straight up picks video. Tomorrow, our score predictions. We got to do our players of the week video from week 3 with some game film in there. Excited to do that. Plenty more. Hopefully you can join us for all that. Check out our Patreon if you want updated playoff and Super Bowl predictions and mock drafts. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.